Hey everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to share with you this printable collection from Mandy Ford, and it is called Cozy Season. It's going to be perfect for documenting all the fall stories. I actually used it for 2 projects, so I'm going to show you the 2 different projects. And what I did for each of these projects was pull distinct colors. So I didn't use all the colors in the kit on one project, I just pulled specific colors. So this project, I pulled the blues and the neutral brown and the greens. So that way I could document these really awesome photos of my daughter and I last November. I believe it was last November. So I went with a design that I really love, which is a large photo on the right-hand side, and then some photos that are smaller going across the bottom. And like I said, my daughter was just running free in this like little prairie hill on, or at a park that we were at. And my idea is to make a cluster up at the top, kind of where our faces are, and then a border cluster type thing, if that makes sense, above the photos, and then a smaller cluster over by the bottom of the photos. But first, of course, I have to adhere down the photos. So I think this large photo is almost a 5x7, and then I made sure that the photo that I'm going to split, that most of it is going to be on the right-hand side and not going to, once I punch the holes, that it's not going to interfere with anything. So what I'm doing now is taking that stamp set from Mandy Ford. It's over in the right-hand corner of the screen. That's from Studio Calico, and I'll link it in the description, but I just love it. It is perfect for documenting fall. It has leaves. It has a scatter stamp of leaves, which is what I used or am using in a few different colors, blue and brown. And then it has an outline of a leaf, just lots of really great things for fall. So I'm going to use that stamp set in along with the printable kit. I also love how her printable kit comes with a ton of die cuts. I have done several videos with her projects, and I always talk about how I love the die cuts, and I'm able to cut those on my Cameo. I recently did a how-to video with using the Cameo, and I said that you had to open up Photoshop Elements. You do not. You can go ahead and just open a PDF in the Cameo, and you don't even need Photoshop Elements, which is awesome. So you just open up the Cameo with your PDF, and you can go ahead and save it as a PNG and then get your cut files that way. And the die cuts that she has covers all the different colors in the kit. And again, I'm just pulling like the brown mushrooms, blue mushrooms, some acorns, and then she had some like tree stumps, and I cut those in half. That way I can use them in 2 different places. I also took a banner that was brown and I split it in half so I could use it in 2 different sections, and also a banner that says autumn that I pop dotted. Another thing that is in her printables is the borders, and I used the border of the acorns to kind of fussy cut out some really small acorns, because the acorns in the die cuts are actually fairly large, and so I just wanted to have that mixture in size, and I love how they turned out. I also added a white stroke behind the word cozy, and so I was able to kind of add that to the top of the border, and then it just blended in really nicely. The brown mushroom had like a red flower attached to it. You can see that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that up, since that's not really my color scheme and I don't want that to be seen because it will be distracting. So I will cover that up with pop dotting the autumn border, and that way autumn is kind of overlaid with the neutral brown border. So it'll all work out for a really fantastic little cluster right there. I just am trying to like work out how I'm going to hide that little red flower. And of course, I have all the stamping right there as well. I am going to add a little bit more stamping later on for that cluster because I felt like it just needed a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more cluster stamping in just a little bit. But I finished up that cluster, and now I can go ahead and add on the cozy word next to the green die cut leaf. And as always, I just fold a little piece of the leaf to make it look a little more dimensional. And over on the far left side, I have Hello Fall. That is another blue type die cut, so I went ahead and pop dotted that as well with a rainbow layered behind it. And the other half of the brown banner tucked right in there. So it worked out to be a really kind of fun little cluster right there, and I was able to extend the die cuts to get like double use out of just one die cut. I took a blue mushroom and added a little acorn right there for a small cluster in the bottom left. And so I just love this. I love this color scheme. It is definitely a favorite color scheme to work with for the fall and from this kit, and also my photos. It worked absolutely perfect with my photos, and it's definitely a favorite project of mine that I've done recently. So I'm just adding in some more of the cluster stamping. That's what I'm calling it. It's the cluster of leaves, dots, and stars from the Mandy Ford stamp set, and I'm using it in a variety of colors. I even got to use my, I think it's called Pine Needles, that Distress Oxide ink. That's a really like bold color, and I love it. You guys, this is so much fun. So one of the stamps in the stamp set from Mandy Ford is these lines. So I kind of connected the lines. It's a little wonky, but it works, and I'm going to use that to do my journaling. There's also a little word that says today, so I'm going to go ahead and use that up in the top left corner of my journaling. But first, I wanted to add just a little more stamping with this tiny cluster of dots in brown ink. And so I added that in a few different spots. That way it had a little pop of black to help your eye travel around the layout. Now, when I printed out my blue pattern paper, I thought I had measured correctly, but apparently I hadn't. So I needed to get a second piece of this blue grain paper, and so that's what I'm fixing right here and filling in that gap. So sometimes that happens. You think you print all the correct pieces, but you actually don't. So I did remember to add that in, and now I can continue on with journaling. And again, I just talked about how our favorite activity for the weekend was just going to a local park, and it was the best weather. We bundled up with our matching headscarves. I think my daughter borrowed one from me, and she just had such joy playing at the park and letting her imagination run wild in this field. And I love how happy being outside with her makes her, and it made for a really good weekend activity. So that is this spread, and now I'm going to move on to the second spread where I document a fun trip with my mom. So my mom came to visit last year during the end of August, but we wound up doing a very fall-ish type activity. We went to a local place that has a lot of farms that have the fall activities. We actually went before the official season started, so it was really like slow up there and quiet, which was nice, and it almost felt like we were getting like a sneak peek of the season. So it was really fun. And then we went to a local like downtown Main Street to look at different shops. And since this layout had like the fall colors of yellow and brown, and my mom was wearing a pink shirt, I went with the pinks. And so that was really fun to be able to like totally switch the color schemes. And I went with a basic pocket page design with 3x4 vertical on the left hand side, and then our selfie that's horizontal over on the right hand side, and then two 3x4s above that selfie. Now, the selfie for us has this really interesting spot up in the top right corner where it's like just this truck. And so I'm going to use that kind of negative space and awkward space because I didn't like that truck in the photo. And I'm going to use that as a great place to add in a giant cluster of different embellishments. I also included a photo of like a poster of the different types of donuts, and then a photo I took of my mom in front of the town sign, and also one of the empty lawn. So I will have 2 different spots to add in some journaling. Mandy's kit came with some journaling cards, but I needed to make it a little bit smaller, so I just trimmed it down, and it says noted, and it has the perfect color scheme. And another thing that the kit came with is these giant clusters. You can see I just placed one on the photo, and it has like leaves and flowers and acorns. It is just so cool how it is all clustered together. So I am going to use that as my large floral, and I'm also going to hole punch some of these wood grain pink and brown paper circles, like 2 inches, going really big. Same thing with this paper as well. I'm just going to hole punch 1.5 scallop circle. I was actually thinking these are like my main 2 punches that I have. I should probably get some new punches. That way I have like a variety of sizes. It would be so nice to have some more sizes. I'd love to know where you guys get your punches. I used to get them at Michael's, but I don't feel like they're on sale as much. I don't know. But anyways, I have those circles all punched out, and I'm also going to use a tag from the printable kit and trim off the portion that I don't need and kind of tuck it in the selfie photo, and then I can make a cluster on top of that tag. One of the die cuts was a tree stump that has a pink circle, and it says all the cozy feels. So I'm going to add some punch circle shapes behind it and also a leaf. And like I said, with the selfie photo, I am going to cover up the entire truck. I just felt like it was really distracting, like I said earlier, and also it's a bunch of negative space. So it will work perfect to go ahead and make a really large, bold cluster, especially when, like I said, that floral piece with the attached acorns. It's just a beautiful cluster and a beautiful color scheme that Mandy Ford came up with. So my intention is to take these pink large circles and use those as kind of my foundation for my different clusters. And so that's what I'm doing here. I added one to the bottom of my cluster, and then I will have the smaller scalloped ones on top. I'll also add another 2-inch circle one down on the bottom left hand corner. And I actually decided to make a really tiny cluster up by the green photo because I just felt like it needed a little bit of something up there, since that's a lot of green in one photo, and it will help your eye to travel around the different spots. So I did trim a portion of the floral die cut so that way it wasn't sticking into my mom's face. I think that was the problem. So I just trimmed that off a little bit, and I also pop dotted some tinier flowers that I had, and I'm going to add some more stamping in a little bit. And like I said, this cluster right here with all the cozy feels, that's going to have some more punch shapes as well. And then down on the bottom left-hand corner, I will add a orange die cut banner and some more flowers. So really beautiful color scheme to document this little fall trip. It definitely felt like fall when my mom and I went up there. It was the middle of August, but it felt like fall when you go up to this area. It's like 45 minutes away from where I live, and I just love it. Such a special place. Because we all know that California's summers never end. At least it feels like it a lot of the time. Even in November right now, it feels like we're having some really odd weather where it's hot for too long. Or at least it's like, this is not November weather, right? I'm ready for some cozy weather. So as you can see up at that top, I just made really tiny circle cluster right there. And once I start stamping, I'm going to add some stamped dots to the clusters. And that's another thing I love about Mandy's stamp sets that she's come out with for Studio Calico, is that there's these little, clusters of different icons that you can stamp and just add a little layer of stampy goodness to your project, or you can just add those stamp clusters to just help your eye travel around the page, which is really fun. So I am adding another 2-inch circle behind all the cozy feels, and I do want to add some of the word phrases that she has in the stamp kit. So I wanted to see which ones would fit, and autumn fits best on the tag, and hello fall works best over on the noted card. I'm also going to try to use the journaling lines again, but this time it's going to get really like wonky and not look so great, but I was not gonna like rip it up and try to redo it. So I'm adding in those little dots, and I think I decided to do them in brown. That way it keeps with the fall colors instead of trying to do them in black. I also could have stamped autumn and hello fall in brown, and I probably should have, but I'm not sure if on the yellow tag stamping autumn in the brown would have looked great. And it wouldn't have shown through. So I just stamped the journaling lines, and like I said, some of them turned out wonky, but whatever. We're gonna keep going, right? So I just journaled again about my mom coming to visit from Missouri, and we were able to get away, just her and I, while the kids were at school, to go do a really fun fall activity where we got to have apple cider donuts, have a sneak peek of the fall season up here, and also goes to some different shops in a downtown. So it was really nice just to have the time, her and I. So it was really nice. And now this will go in my me album. And I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing both of these projects come together. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Have a great day. Bye.